This training lesson will cover procedures and their use within Visual App Builder Pro. Visual App Builder Pro in general is a proceduralized programming development environment, if you will. Objects are contained within procedures, and procedures can then be called from other procedures and can be nested infinitely. This helps to modularize and structure your application to reduce the complexity and to make maintenance as simple as possible. We'll go over some of the simple things that you can do in manipulating procedures within this environment. The simplest, of course, is to go under the Edit button and do a Create New Procedure. We'll create a new one called SO for Sales Order, and we'll give it a type of Calculate. Now we can give it an object type of anything we want, but again, by convention, the developers at Retriever Software tend to use the Calculate miscellaneous function so that we can initialize variables that are going to be used within the procedure. So we'll go ahead and create that one. If you want to delete procedures or delete objects within procedures, we need to use our tree view tabs either within the procedure list or within the object list. For example, if we want to delete function 1 because we're not going to use that procedure within our project, what we need to do is go into tree view and make sure that function 1 is not linked to any other procedure or to any other window. And we'll see that here it is linked to at the root level, which means that it's linked to the main window. So we'll go back to our list view, we'll look at our main window, and as you may recall from a previous training lesson, if we look at the actions associated with that function 1 button, it is being referenced. So we need to remove this reference, close that window, and now by going in the tree view you'll see that function 1 no longer appears there. That means at this point we can go ahead and go under Edit and delete unused functions. This will then give us a list of all the procedures within our project that are no longer being used. Now we're going to use our sales order procedure, so we'll go ahead and leave it. But we'll go ahead and highlight the function 1 and click on the delete button. It'll prompt us whether we really want to do that. We'll say yes. And now we'll see that function 1 is no longer in our list of procedures. So now we can go ahead and change the caption on this button. We'll call this the SO button, and we'll give it a caption of sales orders. Now the same technique holds true for objects within a procedure. So let's say, for instance, we had an object in this procedure that we no longer wanted to use. To verify that this object is no longer being used in this procedure, what we do is click on the tab view. We'd see that it's not linked to any other procedure. But actually, if you have dozens or even 100 different objects in a procedure, it'd be difficult to tell from the tree view which ones were actually linked and which ones weren't. So what you do is you go under the Edit control, Edit menu, and you select Delete Unused Objects. And you'll see that junk is the only one that appears in that list. Everything else is linked to another object. And by linked, we'll go ahead and delete this one at this point. And now you'll see it no longer appears in our object list for this particular procedure. And by linked, what I mean is that when you go into the entry point and you double click on it and you jump over to the Object Methods editor, that it's not being attached via either an OK object dropdown or the error object dropdown. So by navigating through these objects, what you do is just click on the right arrow. And by clicking on the right arrow here, we can go to the password check. We can also use the left arrow to go back to the previous. Now this only goes back to the one deep in our previous objects. It doesn't go any further than that. If you want to do more navigation, you can always go to the tree view. One of the things that is nice about the tree view is if you want to see where the select employee is being called from, while you have it up in the object methods, you can click on the tree view and you'll see that it's highlighted within our navigation tree. Another thing that you can do within the Edit menu item is to copy and paste objects themselves from one procedure to another. So if you wanted to copy this select employee screen, rather than recreating that entire object in another procedure, what you can do is go up here to the copy button on the toolbar, or go under Edit and select Copy, and then go to another procedure. For instance, the sales order procedure. Now you need to open the procedure to one of the objects within that procedure, and at that point the paste becomes active. It'll prompt you as to whether you want to copy it as a function. If you do, then it will appear within your list of procedures. If you normally, what you'll normally choose is the no as the option, and then it'll just appear as another object within the procedure that you've selected. It will append the number 1 or number 2 if there's already one that ends in the number 1, just so that it has a unique name, because you do have the capability of copying the same object to the same procedure if you so desire to do that. And if you needed to repetitively have very similar objects with very similar entries in them, that's a very convenient way of doing that. That covers the main topics for procedures.